lockdowns in California have been getting insane.
Yeah.
LA mayor,
Thanksgiving canceled.
Yep.
well, Eric Garcetti last week.
You can't walk.
You can't
Yeah.
walk. He banned that.
Sorry, I'm stepping on your stuff.
No, you're good. I appreciate the help. Gavin Newsom, he had a bunch of ridiculous lockdown orders as well. And one of the worst parts about these lockdowns that we've seen from the beginning is the hypocritical, like, arbitrarily deciding which businesses are allowed to stay open and which are essential and which are non-essential.
Yeah.
And so in California now, one of the types of businesses listed as essential is movie studios, movie production companies.
Those are very essential.
essential,
Can't
I
go
guess.
without our movies.
More essential than dining, apparently. And so Angela Marsden, the owner of Pineapple Hills Saloon and Grill in Sherman Oaks, California, it's been in that community for over 40 years, that
that's
restaurant.
LA.
Wow.
It's basically LA.
And so we have a video for you that we're going to play right now, and it's of her explaining why she's protesting the lockdowns.
I'm losing everything. Everything I own is being taken away from me. And they set up a movie company right next to my outdoor patio, which is right over here. And people wonder why I'm protesting and why I have had enough. They have not given us money and they have shut us down. We cannot survive. My staff cannot survive. Look at this. Tell me that this is dangerous, but right next to me as a slap in my face, that's safe. This is safe. 50 feet away.
So what that shows to me is that Gavin Newsom, Garcetti, all these Dem politicians issuing these lockdowns, they believe that elites deserve more privileges than the average working people. What do you think it says to you guys that the fact that they're allowing movie studios to do that while shutting down smaller businesses that need the money more? They need to stay open, otherwise they're going to shut down.
What do you think,
Well,
Sarah?
Honestly, and I can't speak for how he truly feels, but I think this is a clear message from Gavin Newsom and Garcetti that they don't really care about the regular working class people. I think this is really pathetic what they've done. And I think they're saying that, entertainment is more important than a struggling woman, trying to make ends meet with her business that she's had for over 40 years. I think that's really horrible.
Well, I would say that this is pretty much entirely her fault. If she would simply host a $10,000 per plate fundraiser
Right.
for Gavin Newsom, I mean, she'd be reopened like that.
He would be
it'd be
there. He would
instant.
attend, yeah.
He would be there. Would be instant.
With the
She would
medical
get
officials
all.
he was with.
She would get
Maybe-
all of the exceptions.
Maybe if
that
she
needed.
hosted that birthday party he went to the other week.
Exactly.
Maybe then she'd be
the
allowed to
maskless
stay
birthday
open.
party, that's an option too. She clearly does not understand that California doesn't operate like a free, open market economy and instead is something more like an autocracy or a kleptocracy.
Yep.
I kid when I say that. There is, I think, a whole lot of truth behind it, though.
Yes.
The people who are impacted by shutting down the movies have a lot more money than she has. They have a lot more influence than she has. They have the ability. They have audiences that she doesn't have. And the maybe the saddest thing about it is they have money that she doesn't have.
Right. Yeah.
Which is really sad. Which says they can afford to be put on hold for a little while. When people are selling their homes in LA for tens of millions of dollars, these are folks they've got some amount, they can live off the money for a little bit. This poor lady, I guarantee you she's working from paycheck to paycheck, just trying to keep her business afloat. And it's not just her business. It's her waiters, her cooks, busboys, all of that,
lives.
other people's
Yeah.
lives.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then those people, of course, You know, they're paying rent, they're making car payments. This is how the economy works, and so when you shut down huge sectors of the economy, you destroy people's lives. And these are people who cannot afford to have an enormous part of their lives shut down.
And one of the
which is
biggest
really sad.
one of the biggest hypocrisies about all this lockdown stuff that I think doesn't get talked about enough is the fact that all these Democrats and all these liberals that hate corporatism, they hate big companies, they're voting for these lockdowns that are taking so much capital away from small businesses.
Yeah.
And they're making, and the people gaining the capital are all the huge companies and the big
Right.
businesses.
Amazon's doing great right
Yes.
now. Mom and pop shops are taking it on the chin. We went to, we went into a department store over the weekend. We were looking for a specific Christmas present for my daughter. And man, it was just next to empty. And we hadn't been in 30 seconds before my wife said, gosh, this is just so sad. These guys, I don't know how they're keeping their doors open.
Yeah.
And a lot of places we've been to, it's the same thing. I can't figure out how they're paying the people who are there.
Right.
Because it doesn't look like they're selling. It doesn't
Enough.
look like they're making enough gross sales to pay for the people they've got on the floor, let alone net. When you're, what's the average profit of business? It's like 4 to 7%, something like that. I have no idea how they are staying afloat. And this is something that I was talking with a couple of assignment editors earlier today, and we were talking about how the mentality has become stay alive at all costs,
Right.
even if it destroys your life. And there have been a lot worse threats than the coronavirus to mankind. Way worse threats.
Right,
Way
yeah.
worse threats. But we have, the powers that be have decided not only do we need to try to control it and contain it, the goal is to eradicate all cases of it. And that's just, it's wholly unrealistic.
It's
And
impossible.
there are all of these
Yeah.
contradictions. Like she was pointing out, there are all of these contradictions out there. Apparently movies can be okay, and you're okay if you're on the lot and you're hanging around concessions there.
Yeah.
If you go to a restaurant, it's not okay. If I go to a restaurant, I have to eat outdoors, and I have to wear a mask. Apparently coronavirus is extremely contagious while you walk, but once you sit, coronavirus loses all of its power,
Yes.
and you can take your mask off. There's all of these contradictions, and Americans are reasonable people, and they are beginning to see. They're not beginning to see. They've been seeing this, and they're fed up with it.
Yeah, and I've read through the list of exemptions, and it's just so arbitrary and so ridiculous. You can, Newsom and Garcetti, they've released these lists, and they're ridiculous. I just, real quick before we move on, I wanted to run one more thing by you guys. So there's this narrative coming out of this story that people in California are starting to take the red pill, and people are starting to wake up.
Yeah,
And
I think Drudge had a headline.
maybe
on that.
in a few years down the road, you could start to see some things turn around. We did win a House seat in California, I believe, surprisingly, this past election. So, do you guys
see?
Yeah. One.
even that?
It's okay.
that's-
It's better than
every journey
nothing.
starts with one.
Yes.
Starts with the
Right?
first step.
Yeah.
But do you guys think that there's a red pill moment coming for Californians? Maybe not. They might not be all voting Republican all of a
Yeah.
sudden, but they might start holding their representative officials a little more accountable.
I hope so. As I was watching the video, I was thinking the sad thing for so many of these people who are getting hit right now is they were probably apolitical. They
Right.
probably didn't think just a whole lot about politics and how it impacts their lives and those things.
Exactly.
And so you're in a great place like California where the climate's nice and everybody's chill and laid back and comfortable pooping on the street and stuff.
Yes.
San Francisco.
There's but that last part aside, it's a really cool environment. I'm sure they just thought, gosh, this is a great place to live. Whereas
Yeah.
I would never move to a place like that because I know what could happen. And now it turns out what could happen is happening.
Yeah.
They've gotten an excuse to exercise extreme amounts of power, and they're exercising it. I don't know how many people this will red pill as far as conservatism goes or libertarianism.
Right.
I do hope it will wake up a whole lot of people to the import of politics in general. I talk about my wife on here from time to time. She's pretty apolitical, and she's realizing all of a sudden gosh, it is scary what these
Yeah.
people can do.
Yeah.
What do you think about red pilling?
Honestly, I'm from California and I'm from the Bay Area.
Ah!
So that's just
You know the
about
poop.
as bad as yes, I have seen it. Unfortunately,
Oh.
don't go to SF anymore. But honestly, I was talking with some of my more liberal friends the other day, and family members as well, and I am starting to see a little bit of a shift. With this whole lockdown and how the Democrats are handling the response to this. And I have seen a lot of liberal people, more liberal-minded people, slowly starting to wake up and realizing that something's not right here with our liberal leaders.
Right.
So I would say definitely. I think it might just come in slow waves.
There are these things that happen throughout history and societies too, where there are significant resets in the way people
Yes.
think. If you're lucky, it's going to come in the form of the Great Awakening or something like that, where you've got a spiritual revival and reawakening. The other way it can come is through wars.
Yep.
If you're less lucky, that's the way it's going to happen. But these societies do get shaken up and reset from time to time. And I hope what happens here is that we actually do have a revival or a renaissance or something like that, and that it's not some sort of a violent conflict that does it. But I do think people are realizing this is not what I signed up for when I
this is
moved to
not
California,
okay.
or when
Yeah.
I had the chance to move to Phoenix and I didn't do it. This is not what I signed up for.